Hello, dear friends, and welcome to another journey through time with Sleepy Historian X. Today, we step into the world of ancient Rome, around 100 CE, to walk beside Lucius, a slave in a bustling household. His day is one of quiet routines, simple tasks, and the gentle rhythm of life in a great city, crafted to soothe your mind and carry you into a place of peace and rest. As the first light of dawn touches the rooftops, let's walk with Lucius, from dawn to dusk, and discover the beauty in his everyday world. The air is cool, dear listener, as the first whispers of dawn creep into the small, stone-walled room where Lucius sleeps. The city of Rome, vast and sprawling, is still cloaked in the hush of early morning. Lucius lies on a simple straw mat, tucked into a corner of a shared chamber with 3 other slaves. The mat is thin, but familiar, its faint rustle a quiet comfort as he stirs. The room smells of earth and faintly of olive oil from a lamp that burned low during the night. He opens his eyes slowly, blinking in the dim light that filters through a narrow window. The window is little more than a slit in the wall, letting in a cool breeze that carries the scent of dew-soaked stone and distant bakeries firing their ovens. Lucius stretches his arms, his muscles stiff from yesterday's labors. His tunic, a coarse linen garment, is folded neatly beside him. He slips it on, the fabric rough but familiar against his skin, and ties a simple belt around his waist. His first task is to wash. He moves to a clay basin in the corner, filled with water drawn the night before. The water is cold, sending a shiver through him as he splashes it over his face. Droplets cling to his skin, catching the faint light, and he pauses, feeling the coolness settle into his senses. The room is quiet, save for the soft breathing of his fellow slaves, still asleep on their mats. Lucius moves carefully, his footsteps light on the packed earth floor, not wanting to disturb them. Outside, the household is just beginning to stir. The courtyard, open to the sky, is bathed in the soft gray of pre-dawn. Lucius steps into it, his sandals scuffing gently against the cobblestones. The air here is fresher, carrying the scent of rosemary from a small garden patch tended by the mistress. A rooster crows in the distance, its call sharp but distant, a signal that the city is waking. Lucius takes a deep breath, savoring the stillness before the day's tasks begin. His first duty is to fetch firewood for the kitchen. He crosses the courtyard to a small shed, where logs are stacked neatly, their surfaces rough and flecked with bark. He gathers an armful, the weight familiar in his arms, and carries them to the kitchen. The kitchen is a warm, bustling space, even at this hour. The cook, a stout woman named Claudia, is already at work, kneading dough for the morning's bread. The scent of flour and yeast fills the air, mingling with the faint smoke of the hearth. "Morning, Lucius," Claudia murmurs, her voice soft as she shapes the dough. The fire's low, stack the wood carefully. Lucius nods, kneeling by the hearth. He places the logs one by one, arranging them to catch the embers still glowing from last night. The wood crackles softly as it begins to burn, the flames casting a warm glow across the stone walls. Lucius watches the fire for a moment, the flickering light soothing, almost hypnotic. It's a small task, but one that sets the rhythm of the day, a quiet ritual that grounds him. As the fire grows, Lucius steps back, brushing bits of bark from his hands. The kitchen is warming now, the heat a contrast to the cool morning air. Claudia hums a tune, low and gentle, as she works, and Lucius feels a sense of calm settle over him. This is his world, simple, repetitive, but filled with moments of quiet beauty. The day is just beginning, and there is much to do, but for now, he lingers in the warmth of the kitchen, letting the sounds and scents wrap around him like a soft blanket. Now, dear listener, let us follow Lucius as he steps into the small stable at the edge of the courtyard. The air here is different, earthy, with the musky scent of animals and hay. The stable is a modest structure, its walls of rough wood and its floor strewn with straw that crunches softly underfoot. A faint light filters through gaps in the roof, casting gentle shadows across the space. Lucius's task is to tend to the household's animals, a small flock of chickens and a donkey named Brutus. The chickens cluck softly, their feathers ruffling as they peck at the ground. Lucius moves to a wooden bin, scooping a handful of grain from a sack. He scatters it across the straw, the grains pattering like soft rain. The chickens gather, their clucking a soothing rhythm, a chorus of contentment that fills the stable with life. He watches them for a moment, their movements quick but unhurried, each peck a small, deliberate act. The sound is calming, a reminder of the simple needs that anchor the household. Lucius refills their water trough, pouring from a clay jug. The water splashes gently, catching the light, and the chickens dip their beaks, creating tiny ripples. Next, he turns to Brutus, the donkey, who stands patiently in his stall. Brutus is an old friend, his gray coat flecked with dust from yesterday's work. Lucius picks up a brush, its bristles worn but soft, and begins to groom him. The brush moves in slow, steady strokes, the sound a soft whisk against Brutus's hide. The donkey nickers a low, rumbling sound, and leans into the touch, his eyes half closed in contentment. Lucius speaks softly to Brutus, his voice a gentle murmur. "Good boy, Brutus. Ready for the day?" The donkey's ears twitch, as if in response, and Lucius smiles. These moments of connection, brief as they are, bring a quiet joy. The stable is a place of calm, a sanctuary from the busier parts of the household, and Lucius lingers here, letting the rhythm of his tasks soothe him. He checks Brutus's hooves, lifting each one carefully to ensure no stones are lodged. The hooves are worn but strong, a testament to the donkey's steady service. Lucius sweeps the stall, gathering stray straw into a neat pile, the broom's soft swish blending with the chicken's clucks. The work is simple, repetitive, but there is a beauty in its predictability, a comfort in knowing each task has its place. As he finishes, the sun is rising higher, its light now streaming through the stable's gaps. The air is warming, carrying the scent of hay and the distant aroma of baking bread from the kitchen. Lucius pauses at the stable door, looking out at the courtyard. A few other slaves are moving about now, their voices low as they begin their own tasks. The household is waking, but here, in the stable, time feels slower, softer, like a moment held in amber. The morning moves forward, dear listener, and Lucius steps out of the stable, his sandals scuffing softly on the cobblestones. His next task takes him beyond the household walls, to the public fountain at the edge of the neighborhood. The air is still cool, but the sun's warmth is beginning to spread, casting long shadows across the streets of Rome. Lucius carries 2 clay jugs, their handles smooth from years of use. They are heavy even when empty, their weight a familiar burden. He walks through the courtyard, passing the small garden where rosemary and thyme grow in neat rows. The scent of herbs brushes against him, mingling with the faint smoke of the city's many hearths. The streets are quiet at this hour, save for the occasional clatter of a cart or the soft chatter of early risers. The fountain is a short walk away, nestled in a small plaza where several streets meet. It is a simple structure, a stone basin fed by a lead pipe that trickles water in a steady, soothing stream. The sound is gentle, almost musical, like a whisper of the aqueducts that bring water to the city. Lucius joins a small group of others, slaves, freedmen, and servants, all gathered to fill their jugs. Their voices are low, their movements unhurried, as if the fountain itself sets a calm pace. Lucius sets his jugs beneath the pipe, watching as the water flows in, clear and cool. The jug gurgles softly, the sound a quiet companion as he waits. He runs his fingers along the stone edge of the basin, feeling its worn smoothness, marked by years of hands just like his. The water catches the morning light, sparkling faintly, and Lucius finds himself lost in its rhythm, the steady trickle a moment of peace. When the first jug is full, he lifts it carefully, setting it on his shoulder. The weight is heavy but manageable, a balance he has perfected over time. He fills the second jug, the water's song unchanged, and places it on his other shoulder. The plaza is waking now, with more people arriving, women with baskets, men with tools, all part of the city's daily dance. Lucius nods to a fellow slave, a silent acknowledgement, and begins his walk back. The return journey is slower, the jug's weight pressing against his shoulders. He moves with care, his steps steady, feeling the cobblestones beneath his sandals. The city is coming alive around him, merchants opening their stalls, children running past, their laughter bright but not jarring. Lucius keeps his focus on the path, the rhythm of his steps a quiet meditation. Back at the household, he delivers the water to the kitchen, where Claudia is shaping loaves. "Well done, Lucius," she says softly, taking one jug. "Set the other by the hearth." Lucius does so, the clay clinking gently against the stone. He pauses for a moment, feeling the warmth of the kitchen, the scent of bread now stronger, a promise of the morning meal to come. Let us follow Lucius now, dear listener, as he moves to the heart of the household, the atrium, a spacious room open to the sky. The air here is fresh, carrying the faint scent of rain from a small pool in the center, the impluvium, where rainwater collects. The atrium's floor is a mosaic of tiny tiles, depicting vines and flowers in soft greens and blues, worn smooth by years of footsteps. Lucius picks up a broom, its handle polished from use, its bristles made of bundled twigs. He begins to sweep, the broom's soft swish against the tiles a gentle, rhythmic sound. The motion is slow, deliberate, each stroke gathering dust and leaves that have drifted in from the courtyard. The sound is calming, like a whisper of the household settling into the day. The atrium is the household showpiece, where guests are received and offerings are made to the household gods. Small statues of the Laras and Penates stand in a niche, their stone faces serene, surrounded by fresh herbs and flowers. Lucius sweeps around them carefully, respecting their presence. The air is quiet, save for the soft trickle of the impluvium and the distant clatter of pots from the kitchen. As he works, Lucius notices the play of light across the mosaic, the morning sun casting patterns that shift with the clouds. He pauses to adjust a flower in the niche, its petals soft against his fingers. The act is small, but it brings a sense of order, a moment of care in a busy day. The broom moves again, its rhythm unbroken, a steady companion in his task. The household is waking fully now. The master's children run through, their laughter bright but fleeting, as they chase each other to the garden. Lucius smiles faintly, keeping his focus on the broom. A fellow slave, Marcus, passes by, carrying a basket of laundry. "Morning, Lucius," he murmurs, and Lucius nods, their exchange brief but warm. The sweeping takes time, the atrium sighs demanding patience. Lucius moves to the edges, where dust gathers in corners, his strokes careful to preserve the mosaic's beauty. The tiles tell a story of their own, of craftsmen who laid them long ago, and Lucius feels a quiet connection to those hands, now gone. His work, though humble, is part of the same thread, keeping the household alive. As he finishes, the atrium gleams, the tiles reflecting the light. Lucius sets the broom aside, leaning it against a wall, and takes a moment to stand in the center of the room. The air is still, the sounds of the household a soft hum around him. This is a moment of pause, a breath before the next task, and Lucius lets it linger, savoring the calm. The morning is well underway now, dear listener, and Lucius returns to the kitchen, where the scent of baking bread fills the air like a warm embrace. The hearth glows, its flames casting flickering shadows across the stone walls. Claudia, the cook, is busy, her hands dusted with flour as she pulls a loaf from the oven. The bread is golden, its crust crisp, and the aroma is a comfort, a promise of nourishment. Lucius's task is to help prepare the morning meal for the household. He moves to a wooden table, worn smooth by years of use, and begins slicing cheese from a small wheel. The knife is sharp, its blade catching the light, and Lucius cuts carefully, each slice thin and even. The cheese is soft, its texture creamy, and the faint tang of it lingers in the air. Claudia hands him a basket of olives, their surfaces glistening with oil. "Arrange these, Lucius," she says, her voice low and warm. He takes the basket, placing the olives in a clay bowl, their dark shapes a contrast to the pale cheese. The bowl is simple, its edges chipped from years of use, but it has a quiet beauty, a testament to the household's daily life. Lucius fetches a jug of watered wine, a common drink for the slaves and lower household members. He pours it into cups, the liquid splashing softly, its color a pale ruby in the morning light. The act is methodical, each pour a small ritual, and Lucius finds comfort in its repetition. The kitchen is a symphony of sounds now, the crackle of the fire, the clink of clay, Claudia's soft humming. The meal is simple but hearty, meant to sustain the household through the morning's work. Lucius carries the tray to the dining area, a small room off the atrium where the slaves and servants eat. The master's family will dine later, in a grander space, but here, the atmosphere is intimate, almost familial. Lucius sets the tray down, the bowls and cups arranged neatly, their colors warm against the wooden table. He joins Claudia and Marcus for the meal, sitting on a low stool by the hearth. The bread is warm, its crust breaking with a soft crunch as Lucius tears a piece. The cheese melts on his tongue, its flavor rich, and the olives add a burst of saltiness. The watered wine is cool, a gentle refreshment. They eat in silence at first, the only sounds the soft chewing and the fire's crackle, a moment of shared calm. Claudia speaks softly, sharing a story of her childhood in a village far from Rome. Lucius listens, his eyes on the fire, its flames a soothing dance. Marcus adds a quiet comment, and the conversation flows gently, a thread of connection among them. This meal, though simple, is a pause in the day, a chance to rest and reflect before the next task's call. With the meal finished, dear listener, Lucius moves to the storeroom, a cool, shadowed space off the kitchen. The air here is different, heavy with the sense of grain, dried herbs, and stored wine. The storeroom is a treasure trove of the household's provisions, its shelves lined with clay jars, sacks of barley, and bundles of rosemary and thyme tied with twine. Lucius's task is to check the stores, ensuring the household has enough for the coming days. He moves slowly, his hands brushing against the rough clay of a grain jar. He lifts its lid, the faint scrape of clay against clay a soft sound in the quiet room. The barley inside is golden, its grains cool to the touch, and Lucius scoops a handful, letting it slip through his fingers like sand. He counts the jars, his voice a low murmur as he tallies, 10 of barley, 6 of wheat, 4 of lentils. The numbers are familiar, a rhythm he knows by heart, but he checks carefully, knowing the household depends on his accuracy. The shelves are sturdy, made of oak, their surfaces worn smooth by years of hands moving goods. Next, he inspects the wine, stored in tall amphorae sealed with wax. He runs his fingers along one, feeling the cool clay, and checks the seals for cracks. The wine's faint, fruity scent escapes as he lifts a lid, a reminder of the vineyards beyond the city. Everything is in order, and Lucius feels a quiet satisfaction, a sense of contributing to the household's stability. The storeroom is lit by a single oil lamp, its flame casting a soft glow across the shelves. Lucius moves to the herb bundles, their leaves brittle but fragrant. He crushes a sprig of rosemary between his fingers, the scent sharp and calming, and tucks it into his belt, a small keepsake of the morning. The act is simple, but it grounds him, tying him to the earth's gifts. As he works, he hears the household beyond, the soft voices of other slaves, the clatter of a cart in the street. The storeroom is a haven, its coolness a contrast to the warming day outside. Lucius takes his time, checking each item with care, his movements slow and deliberate. The task is mundane, but there is a beauty in its order, a rhythm that soothes the mind. When he finishes, Lucius steps back, surveying the storeroom. The shelves are neat, the jars aligned, the herbs secure. He feels a quiet pride, knowing his work helps keep the household running. He closes the doors softly, the wood creaking faintly, and steps back into the kitchen, ready for the next task, the morning still unfolding around him. The morning sun climbs higher now, dear listener, casting a warm glow across the household. Lucius moves from the storeroom to the peristyle, a garden courtyard surrounded by columns, a place of quiet beauty within the bustling Roman home. The air here is fresh, scented with blooming lavender and the faint dampness of morning dew. The peristyle is a sanctuary, its open sky framed by stone pillars, where the master's family finds moments of peace. Lucius carries a broom, its twig bristles worn but effective, and begins sweeping the stone tiles that line the walkway. The soft swish of the broom against the stone is a gentle rhythm, like waves lapping at a shore. He moves slowly, his strokes deliberate, gathering fallen leaves and petals that have drifted from the garden beds. The leaves are crisp, their edges curling, and they rustle softly as he sweeps them into a pile. The garden itself is a modest but lovely space. Low shrubs of rosemary and thyme line the edges, their scents mingling with the lavender. A small fountain sits at the center, its water trickling in a steady, soothing stream, catching the sunlight in tiny sparkles. Lucius pauses to listen, the sound calming, almost hypnotic, as it blends with the distant hum of the city beyond the walls. He sweeps around the fountain, careful not to disturb the delicate plants. The tiles are smooth, their surfaces warm under the morning sun, and Lucius feels the heat through his sandals. He notices a small bird, a sparrow, hopping along the edge of the fountain, its tiny feet leaving faint prints in the dust. Lucius smiles, a quiet moment of connection with the world around him. Next, he tends to the garden beds, pulling weeds that have sprouted between the herbs. His fingers work gently, easing the roots from the soil, the earth cool and soft against his skin. The act is meticulous, each weed a small challenge, but Lucius finds peace in the task, his hands moving with a practiced ease. The scent of disturbed soil rises, earthy and grounding, a reminder of the land that sustains the city. As he works, the household stirs around him. The master's wife, Flavia, passes through, her robes brushing softly against the tiles. She nods to Lucius, her expression kind but distant, and he lowers his eyes, continuing his work. The peristyle is a place of beauty, but for Lucius, it is also a place of duty, a space he maintains for others to enjoy. The broom moves again, its rhythm unbroken, sweeping along the columns that line the walkway. Each column is carved with simple patterns, worn smooth by years of weather and touch. Lucius runs his hand along one, feeling its coolness, a contrast to the warming air. The task is repetitive, but there is comfort in its simplicity, a chance to lose himself in the motion and the sounds of the garden. When the peristyle is clean, Lucius steps back, surveying his work. The tiles gleam, the garden beds are neat, and the fountain's trickle is clear and steady. He feels a quiet satisfaction, knowing his efforts contribute to the household's harmony. The morning is advancing, and there are more tasks to come, but for now, he lingers in the peristyle, letting the calm of the garden wash over him. Let us follow Lucius now, dear listener, as he moves to a shaded corner of the courtyard, where a wooden bench holds a pile of household linens in need of repair. The air is warming, but here, under the overhang of the roof, it remains cool, the stone walls casting a soft shadow. The scent of lavender from the peristyle lingers, mingling with the faint musk of worn fabric. Lucius sits on the bench, its surface smoothed by years of use, and picks up a torn tunic. The fabric is coarse, a simple linen worn by the slaves and servants, its edges frayed from daily wear. He runs his fingers along the tear, feeling the rough threads, and selects a needle and thread from a small basket. The needle is small, its metal cool to the touch, and the thread is a sturdy flax, dyed a muted brown. He begins to sew, his movements slow and precise, the needle slipping through the fabric with a soft, rhythmic pull. The sound is subtle, a faint whisper of thread against cloth, soothing in its repetition. Lucius focuses on each stitch, pulling the thread taut, closing the tear with care. The act is simple, but it requires patience, a steady hand to ensure the repair is strong. The courtyard around him is alive with quiet activity. A breeze rustles the leaves in the garden, and the fountain's trickle continues its gentle song. Lucius hears the soft voices of other slaves, moving through their tasks, their footsteps light on the cobblestones. The household is a world of its own, each person a part of its rhythm, and Lucius's mending is a small but essential thread. He finishes the tunic and sets it aside, picking up a tablecloth with a small hole near one corner. The cloth is finer, used for the master's dining room, and Lucius handles it with extra care. He threads the needle again, the motion familiar, almost meditative. Each stitch is a small act of restoration, bringing order to the household's daily life. As he works, Lucius's thoughts drift. He remembers his childhood, in a village far from Rome, where his mother taught him to sew. The memory is soft, like the fabric in his hands, and he lingers on it, the needle moving steadily. The courtyard sounds fade into the background, and for a moment, it is just Lucius, the needle, and the cloth, a quiet world of focus and calm. Another slave, Livia, passes by, carrying a basket of washed linens to hang in the sun. "Nice work, Lucius," she says softly, glancing at the neat stitches. He nods, his voice low. "Thank you, Livia." The exchange is brief, but it warms the moment, a reminder of the camaraderie among the household's workers. The pile of linens grows smaller, each piece mended with care. Lucius smooths the tablecloth, running his fingers over the repaired hole, satisfied with its near invisibility. The task is humble, but it brings a sense of accomplishment, a quiet pride in maintaining the household's order. He sets the needle aside, the basket now nearly empty, and takes a moment to stretch, feeling the sun's warmth on his shoulders. The sun is nearing its peak now, dear listener, and Lucius moves back to the peristyle to assist with the garden's care. The air is warm, filled with the heady scent of herbs and the soft hum of bees drawn to the lavender. The garden is a small but cherished space, a patch of green within the stone walls of the household, tended with care to please the master's family. Lucius kneels beside a bed of thyme, its tiny leaves vibrant against the dark soil. He carries a small clay pot of water, its surface cool and smooth, and pours it gently over the plants. The water soaks into the earth, a soft gurgle that blends with the fountain's trickle. He watches the soil darken, the plants seeming to sigh in relief, their leaves glistening in the sunlight. His task is to trim the herbs, ensuring they grow strong and full. He uses a small bronze knife, its blade worn but sharp, and cuts carefully, the leaves releasing a burst of fragrance with each snip. The scent of thyme is sharp, invigorating, yet calming, and Lucius breathes it in deeply, letting it ground him in the moment. The knife moves with precision, each cut a small act of care for the garden. The garden is alive with small sounds, the rustle of leaves, the buzz of a bee, the soft chatter of a maid passing through. Lucius works slowly, his hands steady, gathering the trimmed herbs into a small basket. The basket is woven from reeds, its texture rough but pleasing, and the herbs pile up, their colors a mix of green and purple. Flavia, the master's wife, appears again, inspecting the garden. She pauses by the lavender, running her fingers over its blooms, and nods to Lucius. "The herbs look well, Lucius," she says, her voice soft but clear. He bows his head, murmuring, "Thank you, mistress." Her approval is rare but valued, a small acknowledgement of his efforts. Lucius moves to the rosemary next, its woody stems tougher than the thyme. He trims with care, the scent stronger now, filling the air with a resinous warmth. He thinks of the kitchen, where these herbs will flavor the evening's meal, connecting his work to the household's daily rhythm. The thought is comforting, a reminder that even small tasks have purpose. The sun is high now, its warmth spreading across the peristyle. Lucius wipes his brow, the sweat cool against his skin, and takes a moment to sit back on his heels. The garden is a place of beauty, a contrast to the stone and bustle of the city, and he feels a quiet gratitude for these moments among the plants. The basket of herbs is nearly full, and he sets it aside, ready to carry it to the kitchen later. Let us walk with Lucius now, dear listener, as he moves to a small room off the atrium, where household items await polishing. The room is cool, its stone walls keeping out the midday heat, and the air carries a faint metallic tang. A wooden table holds a collection of bronze and silver items, candlesticks, a small mirror, and a set of spoons used for the master's meals. Lucius sits at the table, a soft cloth in hand, its texture worn but gentle. He picks up a candlestick, its surface tarnished from use, and begins to polish, the cloth moving in slow, circular motions. The bronze gleams faintly at first, then brighter, reflecting the light from a nearby window. The sound of the cloth against the metal is soft, a whisper of friction that soothes the ear. The candlestick is heavy, its base engraved with simple vines, a touch of elegance for the dining room. Lucius works carefully, his fingers tracing the engravings, feeling their delicate curves. The act is repetitive, but there is a rhythm to it, a meditative quality that calms the mind. He breathes slowly, the metallic scent mingling with the faint lavender from his earlier tasks. Next, he polishes the mirror, a small disc of bronze used by Flavia. Its surface is smooth, almost liquid, and Lucius rubs gently, watching his reflection emerge from the tarnish. The mirror catches the light, sending tiny flecks across the room, and he pauses, captivated by the play of brightness. The task is simple, but it feels intimate, a small service to the household's daily life. The spoons are last, their handles slender and cool. Lucius polishes each one, the cloth gliding along their curves, the silver shining under his touch. The sound is subtle, a soft rustle, and he loses himself in the rhythm, each stroke a step in the dance of maintenance. The room is quiet, save for the distant sounds of the household, the trickle of the fountain, the murmur of voices. A young slave, Gaius, enters, carrying a tray of cleaned goblets. "Need help, Lucius?" he asks softly. Lucius shakes his head, smiling. "I'm nearly done, Gaius, but thank you." The boy nods, setting the tray down and leaving as quietly as he came. Lucius appreciates the offer, a small gesture of camaraderie in their shared work. When the items are polished, Lucius arranges them neatly on the table, their surfaces gleaming. He feels a quiet pride, knowing they will grace the master's table tonight. The room is brighter now, the polished metal catching the light, and Lucius takes a moment to sit back, letting the calm of the task linger. The midday sun is bright now, dear listener, and Lucius moves to the courtyard, where a line of wet linens hangs to dry. The air is warm, filled with the clean scent of soap and sun-warmed fabric. The laundry area is a simple setup, a rope stretched between two posts, with tunics, cloaks, and tablecloths swaying gently in the breeze. Lucius joins Livia, who is folding dried linens into a basket. She hands him a damp tunic, still cool from the wash, and he shakes it out, the fabric snapping softly. He hangs it on the line, securing it with wooden pins, their surfaces smooth from use. The act is rhythmic, each pin placed with care, the cloth fluttering like a sail in the breeze. The laundry was washed earlier by Livia and others, in a large basin filled with water and ash-based soap. Now, Lucius helps hang the remaining items, his hands moving steadily. The fabric is heavy when wet, its weight tugging at his arms, but he works with ease, the motion familiar. The scent of soap is clean, almost sharp, blending with the warmth of the sun. As he hangs a tablecloth, Lucius notices the weave of the fabric, its threads tight and even. He runs his fingers along it, feeling the texture, a reminder of the weavers who crafted it. The courtyard is alive with small sounds, the rustle of fabric, the creak of the rope, the distant laughter of children playing in the street. It's a peaceful scene, one that grounds Lucius in the rhythm of the day. Livia hums softly as she folds, her voice a gentle melody that blends with the courtyard sounds. "You're quick with those pins," she says, her tone warm. Lucius chuckles, his voice low. "Years of practice, Livia." Their conversation is light, a quiet exchange that adds warmth to the task. The sun dries the linens quickly, and Lucius checks each one, feeling for damp spots. He takes down a dry tunic, folding it with care, the fabric soft and warm against his hands. The pile in the basket grows, each piece a small victory in the household's daily maintenance. Lucius feels the sun on his face, its warmth a gentle caress, and he pauses, savoring the moment. The laundry task is shared, a collective effort that binds the slaves together. Lucius hands a folded cloak to Livia, their fingers brushing briefly, a silent acknowledgement of their teamwork. The courtyard feels like a small world, a place of order and calm amidst the city's bustle, and Lucius is content to be a part of it. As midday approaches, dear listener, Lucius returns to the kitchen, where the air is thick with the scent of herbs and simmering broth. The hearth glows, its flames lower now but still warm, casting a soft light across the stone walls. Claudia is preparing the midday meal, a simple but nourishing spread for the slaves and servants, and Lucius is here to assist. He begins by chopping vegetables, carrots, leeks, and turnips, on a wooden board, its surface scarred from years of use. The knife is heavy, its blade sharp, and Lucius cuts slowly, each slice a soft thud against the wood. The vegetables are fresh, their colors vibrant, and their scent is earthy, mingling with the rosemary and thyme from the garden. Claudia stirs a pot of lentil stew, the broth bubbling gently, its aroma rich and comforting. "Add the leeks, Lucius," she says, her voice soft, and he slides the chopped pieces into the pot. The stew hisses faintly, the leeks sinking into the broth, and Lucius watches, the steam rising in soft curls. The sound is soothing, a reminder of the kitchen's warmth and purpose. Next, Lucius prepares flatbreads, kneading dough that Claudia set aside earlier. The dough is soft, slightly sticky, and he works it with his hands, the motion rhythmic and calming. He shapes it into rounds, flattening them with gentle presses, the dough yielding under his fingers. The act is meditative, each movement a step in the process of creation. He places the flatbreads on a hot stone by the hearth, where they puff up, their surfaces browning. The scent of baking bread fills the kitchen, a warm, yeasty aroma that wraps around him like a blanket. Lucius turns the breads with a wooden paddle, the wood smooth against his palm, ensuring they cook evenly. The meal comes together slowly, a collective effort. Lucius sets out clay bowls and cups, their surfaces cool and smooth. He pours watered wine, its color pale in the light, and arranges the flatbreads on a tray. The kitchen is a hive of quiet activity, the sounds blending, the bubble of the stew, the crackle of the fire, Claudia's soft instructions. When the meal is ready, Lucius carries the tray to the servants' dining area, the same small room off the atrium. He sets it down, the bowls steaming, the bread warm. The slaves gather, their voices low, and Lucius joins them, sitting on a stool. The stew is hearty, its flavors simple but satisfying, and the flatbread is soft, perfect for soaking up the broth. They eat in near silence, the only sounds the soft clink of spoons and the fire's crackle. Lucius feels the warmth of the meal, the comfort of shared effort, and he lets the moment linger, a pause in the day's steady rhythm. The sun hangs high in the sky now, dear listener, its warm golden light spilling across the Roman household, softening the edges of the stone walls. Lucius steps quietly into a small alcove just off the atrium, a sheltered nook where the air is cool and still. The scent of olive oil lingers here, mingling with the faint musk of clay and the subtle warmth of beeswax, a quiet perfume that wraps the space in calm. The alcove is a modest sanctuary, its stone walls smooth and cool to the touch, shielding it from the midday heat. A wooden shelf lines one wall, holding a collection of clay oil lamps, each one simple yet crafted with care. Their rounded bodies curve gently, their narrow spouts designed to cradle a flickering flame. Lucius kneels beside the shelf, his movements slow and deliberate, the soft scuff of his sandals against the stone floor a gentle whisper in the stillness. He lifts the first lamp, its weight light in his hands, its surface smooth and slightly warm from the morning's light. The clay is cool to the touch, its texture grounding, and Lucius traces his fingers along its edge, feeling the faint imperfections left by the potter's hands. The lamp's wick is short, blackened from use, and a faint residue of oil clings to its reservoir, glistening faintly in the dim light. Lucius reaches for a small clay jug, its surface polished by years of handling, filled with golden olive oil. The oil's scent is rich, earthy, with a hint of fruitiness that evokes the groves outside Rome's walls. He tilts the jug carefully, pouring the oil into the lamp's reservoir, the liquid flowing with a soft, rhythmic glug. The sound is soothing, like a gentle stream finding its way over pebbles, and Lucius watches as the oil pools, catching the light in tiny, shimmering ripples. With the reservoir full, he sets the jug aside, its clay clinking softly against the shelf. He picks up a small bronze knife, its blade small but sharp, and begins trimming the wick. The knife moves with precision, the faint snip of the wick a delicate sound, like a leaf falling to the ground. The blackened end falls away, curling into his palm, and he replaces it with a fresh wick from a bundle tied with twine, its fibers soft and pliable. Lucius works slowly, moving from lamp to lamp, his hands steady, his breathing calm. Each lamp is a small ritual, a moment of care that ensures the household will glow with light when evening falls. The alcove is quiet, save for the soft sounds of his work, the glug of oil, the snip of the knife, the faint rustle of his tunic as he shifts. The air feels still, as if time itself pauses here, offering Lucius a moment of peace amidst the day's tasks. As he fills another lamp, the sunlight from a nearby window casts a soft beam across the shelf, illuminating motes of dust that drift lazily in the air. Lucius pauses, watching them dance, their movement almost hypnotic, a reminder of the small beauties in his world. The oil scent grows stronger, filling the alcove with its warmth, and he breathes it in deeply, letting it anchor him in the moment. A soft voice breaks the silence, as Gaius, another slave, passes by the alcove, carrying a basket of cleaned pottery. "Lamps ready for tonight, Lucius?" he asks, his tone low and friendly, blending seamlessly with the alcove's calm. Lucius looks up, a faint smile crossing his face. "Nearly there, Gaius," he murmurs, his voice soft as the oil's shimmer. Gaius nods, his footsteps fading as he moves on, leaving Lucius to his quiet task. The shelf is nearly done now, each lamp filled and trimmed, their clay bodies gleaming softly in the dim light. Lucius adjusts one last wick, ensuring it sits perfectly in its spout, ready to carry the flame. He runs his fingers along the shelf's edge, the wood worn smooth by years of touch, and feels a quiet satisfaction. These lamps, though small, are vital, bringing light to the household's evenings, a silent contribution to its daily rhythm. He wipes his hands on a cloth, the oil leaving a faint sheen on his fingers, its scent lingering like a gentle memory. The alcove feels complete now, a small world of order and care, and Lucius steps back, his sandals brushing softly against the stone. The household hums beyond the walls, the distant trickle of the peristyle's fountain, the soft chatter of other slaves, the faint clatter of a cart in the street. But here, in this moment, it is just Lucius and the lamps, a quiet dance of maintenance and calm. Lucius takes a moment to stand in the alcove's cool embrace, letting the stillness settle over him. The scent of olive oil, the soft glow of the lamps, the gentle sounds of his work, all weave together into a tapestry of peace. The afternoon stretches ahead, filled with more tasks, but for now, he lingers, savoring the quiet beauty of this simple duty. The afternoon sun bathes the Roman household in a warm, golden glow, dear listener, its light filtering through high windows into the triclinium, the dining room where the master's family gathers. Lucius steps into this elegant space, his sandals whispering softly against the mosaic floor. The air carries a faint scent of polished wood and the lingering aroma of last night's meal, a quiet blend of herbs and wine. The triclinium is a place of refinement, with 3 low couches arranged around a central oak table, their cushions draped in woven fabrics of muted reds and blues. Lucius carries a soft cloth and a small clay bowl filled with water and a splash of vinegar, its sharp scent cutting through the warmth. He begins at the table, its surface smooth but dusted with the day's light debris. The cloth glides over the wood, a gentle, rhythmic swish that soothes the ear, wiping away dust and faint stains. Each stroke is deliberate, the cloth leaving a faint sheen, the wood's grain catching the sunlight in soft patterns. Lucius moves slowly, his hands steady, feeling the table's warmth under his fingers. The vinegar's tang mixes with the wood's earthy scent, creating a grounding aroma that fills the room. He pauses to rinse the cloth, the water splashing softly in the bowl, its ripples catching the light like tiny stars. The couches are next, their wooden frames carved with simple vines, worn smooth by years of use. Lucius kneels beside one, running the cloth along the wood, its texture cool and polished. The cushions are heavy, stuffed with wool, and he lifts them gently, smoothing the fabric with care. The weave is soft, its threads catching the light, and Lucius arranges them neatly, each fold a small act of order. The floor is a mosaic of fish and waves, its tiles faded but vibrant, telling a story of the sea. Lucius sweeps with a twig broom, the soft swish blending with the distant trickle of the peristyle's fountain. He moves carefully, preserving the mosaic's beauty, the tiles cool under his sandals. The sound is calming, a steady rhythm that anchors him in the task, each stroke a whisper of care for the household. A bronze goblet sits on the table, its surface tarnished but warm. Lucius polishes it with a dry cloth, the metal gleaming brighter with each slow circle, the sound of faint rustle, like leaves stirring in a breeze. The goblet's weight is grounding, its shine reflecting the room's light, and he sets it back, satisfied with its glow. Flavia, the master's wife, passes by, her robes rustling softly. "The triclinium looks fine, Lucius," she says, her voice calm and approving. He bows his head, murmuring, "Thank you, mistress," his voice low, blending with the room's quiet. The task is nearly done, the room pristine, its elegance restored for the evening's meal. Lucius steps back, surveying the triclinium, the table gleaming, the couches neat, the floor spotless. He feels a quiet pride, knowing his work prepares this space for the family's comfort. The room is a haven of order, its stillness a contrast to the bustling city. The sun is nearing its peak now, dear listener, and Lucius moves back to the peristyle to assist with the garden's care. The air is warm, filled with the heady scent of herbs and the soft hum of bees drawn to the lavender. The garden is a small but cherished space, a patch of green within the stone walls of the household, tended with care to please the master's family. Lucius kneels beside a bed of thyme, its tiny leaves vibrant against the dark soil. He carries a small clay pot of water, its surface cool and smooth, and pours it gently over the plants. The water soaks into the earth, a soft gurgle that blends with the fountain's trickle. He watches the soil darken, the plants seeming to sigh in relief, their leaves glistening in the sunlight. His task is to trim the herbs, ensuring they grow strong and full. He uses a small bronze knife, its blade worn but sharp, and cuts carefully, the leaves releasing a burst of fragrance with each snip. The scent of thyme is sharp, invigorating, yet calming, and Lucius breathes it in deeply, letting it ground him in the moment. The knife moves with precision, each cut a small act of care for the garden. The garden is alive with small sounds, the rustle of leaves, the buzz of a bee, the soft chatter of a maid passing through. Lucius works slowly, his hands steady, gathering the trimmed herbs into a small basket. The basket is woven from reeds, its texture rough but pleasing, and the herbs pile up, their colors a mix of green and purple. Flavia, the master's wife, appears again, inspecting the garden. She pauses by the lavender, running her fingers over its blooms, and nods to Lucius. "The herbs look well, Lucius," she says, her voice soft but clear. He bows his head, murmuring, "Thank you, mistress." Her approval is rare but valued, a small acknowledgement of his efforts. Lucius moves to the rosemary next, its woody stems tougher than the thyme. He trims with care, the scent stronger now, filling the air with a resinous warmth. He thinks of the kitchen, where these herbs will flavor the evening's meal, connecting his work to the household's daily rhythm. The thought is comforting, a reminder that even small tasks have purpose. The sun is high now, its warmth spreading across the peristyle. Lucius wipes his brow, the sweat cool against his skin, and takes a moment to sit back on his heels. The garden is a place of beauty, a contrast to the stone and bustle of the city, and he feels a quiet gratitude for these moments among the plants. The basket of herbs is nearly full, and he sets it aside, ready to carry it to the kitchen later. The afternoon sun softens slightly, dear listener, casting a warm glow across the courtyard where Lucius sits to repair one of his sandals, its leather strap frayed from Rome's rugged streets. The courtyard is a peaceful space, the air filled with the scent of drying linens and the faint sweetness of herbs from the peristyle. A wooden bench offers shade, its surface smooth and cool under Lucius's hands. He holds the sandal, its leather worn but soft, the strap loose and frayed at the edges. From a small basket, he takes an awl, its bronze point sharp, and a length of leather cord, rough but strong. The awl pierces the leather, a soft prick that echoes faintly in the courtyard, and Lucius threads the cord through, his fingers moving slowly, each pull a gentle tug that closes the gap. The sound of the cord against the leather is subtle, a whisper of friction, soothing in its repetition. Lucius focuses on each stitch, his hands steady, the rhythm a meditation that quiets the mind. The leather is warm from the sun, its texture grounding, and he feels the sandal's history, miles walked, tasks completed, a silent partner in his daily life. The courtyard hums with soft sounds, the rustle of linens on the line, the distant trickle of the fountain, the murmur of voices from within the house. Lucius's work is solitary but comforting, the bench a small haven amidst the household's rhythm. He ties off the cord, the knot firm and neat, and tests the strap, pulling gently to ensure its strength. The master's youngest son, Titus, runs past, his sandals slapping softly on the stones. He stops, curious, watching Lucius's hands. "Fixing your sandal?" he asks, his voice soft and bright. Lucius nods, smiling faintly. "Aye, young master. It'll carry me a while longer." Titus grins and darts off, his laughter fading into the courtyard's calm. Lucius slips the sandal onto his foot, the repaired strap snug and secure. He stands, testing its fit, the leather holding firm against the cobblestones. The task is small, but it brings a quiet satisfaction, a moment of care for himself amidst his duties. He returns the awl and cord to the basket, their weight light in his hands, and lingers on the bench, the courtyard's warmth a gentle embrace. The afternoon deepens, dear listener, and Lucius moves to the shed at the courtyard's edge, where the household's firewood is kept. The air is warm, carrying the scent of dry pine and oak, mixed with the faint sweetness of herbs drifting from the garden. The shed is a sturdy structure, its wooden walls weathered, its interior cool and shadowed, a quiet retreat from the sun's heat. Lucius steps inside, the scent of wood enveloping him like a familiar friend. The logs are stacked neatly, their surfaces rough, flecked with bark that crumbles softly under his touch. He gathers an armful, the weight heavy but comforting, the logs pressing against his chest. The sound of wood shifting is soft, a gentle clunk that echoes in the shed's stillness. He carries the firewood to the kitchen, his steps steady on the cobblestones, the log's texture grounding against his arms. The kitchen is warm, the hearth glowing with embers from the midday meal, its air thick with the scent of simmering herbs. Claudia is there, stirring a pot, the steam rising in soft curls. "More wood, Lucius?" she asks, her voice low and warm. He nods, setting the logs by the hearth, their clunk a quiet note in the kitchen's hum. Lucius arranges the logs carefully, stacking them to catch the embers easily for the evening's fire. The wood is dry, its surface cracking faintly as he places each piece, the sound soothing, like a whisper of the forest. He adds kindling, small twigs and dried leaves, their rustle a delicate counterpoint to the hearth's crackle. The task is simple, but it connects him to the household's heart, the fire that sustains its warmth and meals. He kneels by the hearth, blowing gently to coax the embers, the flames flickering to life. The glow casts soft shadows, its heat a gentle caress on his face. The fire's crackle is hypnotic, blending with Claudia's soft humming, a melody that weaves through the kitchen's warmth. Lucius watches the flames, their dance a moment of pause in the day's rhythm. When the fire is steady, Lucius steps back, wiping his hands on his tunic, the bark's roughness lingering on his skin. The hearth glows brightly, ready for the evening, and he feels a quiet pride, knowing his work keeps the household running. The kitchen's scents, wood smoke, herbs, and stew, wrap around him, a comforting embrace. The afternoon sun begins to soften, dear listener, casting a golden glow across the household as Lucius returns to the stable, a familiar haven at the courtyard's edge. The air is thick with the musky scent of hay and animals, the wooden walls warm from the day's heat. The straw-strewn floor crunches softly under his sandals, a gentle sound that welcomes him back. Lucius checks the chickens first, their feathers ruffling as they peck at the remnants of their morning grain. He scatters a small handful more, the grains pattering like soft rain, the sound soothing in the stable's quiet. The chickens cluck gently, their movements unhurried, a chorus of contentment that fills the space with life. He watches them, their small, deliberate pecks a calming rhythm. Brutus, the donkey, stands in his stall, his gray coat dusty but calm. Lucius picks up the brush, its bristles worn but soft, and begins grooming, the whisk of the brush against Brutus's hide a steady, quiet sound. The donkey nickers a low rumble, leaning into the touch, his eyes half closed in contentment. Lucius murmurs softly, "Easy, Brutus. You're doing fine," his voice a gentle whisper. He checks the water trough, its surface still, reflecting the stable's dim light. He adds a little water from a clay jug, the splash soft, creating tiny ripples that shimmer in the sunlight. The stable is peaceful, its sounds, the cluck of chickens, the rustle of straw, Brutus's soft breaths, a tapestry of calm that wraps around Lucius like a blanket. Lucius sweeps the stall, the broom's swish blending with the stable's hum. He gathers stray straw into a neat pile, the motion slow and deliberate, a meditation in itself. The air is warm, carrying the scent of hay and the distant aroma of herbs from the kitchen. The stable feels like a world apart, a place of tranquility, and Lucius lingers, savoring its quiet. Marcus, another slave, pauses at the stable door, leaning against the frame. "All well, Lucius?" he asks, his voice soft, blending with the stable's calm. Lucius nods, smiling faintly. "Aye, Marcus. Just keeping things in order." Their exchange is brief, a moment of camaraderie in their shared routine. The stable is tidy now, the animals content, the straw neat. Lucius steps back, his hands resting on the broom, feeling a quiet pride in his care for this small corner of the household. The afternoon is waning, but the stable's calm lingers, a gentle pause before the next task. The late afternoon sun casts a golden glow across the Roman household, dear listener, its light softening as it filters through the courtyard. Lucius steps back into the kitchen, where the air is warm and thick with the scent of simmering herbs and baking bread. The hearth glows steadily, its embers a quiet heart of the household, and Lucius joins Claudia, the cook, to prepare the evening meal for the master's family and the slaves. Claudia hands Lucius a basket of vegetables, leeks, carrots, and a few turnips, fresh from the market. He sets them on a wooden table, its surface scarred from years of use, and picks up a bronze knife, its handle cool and smooth. The blade slices through a leek, the soft thud against the cutting board a gentle rhythm, each cut releasing a sharp, earthy scent that mingles with the kitchen's warmth. He chops slowly, his hands steady, the sound of the knife a soothing whisper, like leaves rustling in a breeze. The vegetables pile up, their colors vibrant, green, orange, white, against the dark wood. Lucius sweeps them into a clay bowl, the faint clink of the pieces against the clay a quiet note in the kitchen's symphony. Claudia stirs a pot of barley stew, the broth bubbling softly, its steam curling in the air, rich with the scent of rosemary. Add those to the pot, Lucius, Claudia murmurs, her voice low and warm, blending with the hearth's crackle. He slides the vegetables into the stew, the broth hissing faintly as they sink, the sound calming, a promise of nourishment. Lucius watches the pot, the bubbles rising and popping, their rhythm hypnotic, grounding him in the moment. Next, he prepares flatbreads, kneading dough left to rise earlier. The dough is soft, slightly sticky, yielding under his fingers as he presses it into rounds. The motion is meditative, each press a gentle act, the dough's warmth a contrast to the cool air. He places the rounds on a hot stone by the hearth, the bread puffing up, its surface browning, the scent of yeast and warmth filling the kitchen. Lucius turns the breads with a wooden paddle, its handle worn smooth, the wood scraping softly against the stone. The breads are golden now, their crusts crisp, and he stacks them on a tray, their warmth radiating through his hands. The kitchen is alive with sounds, the bubble of the stew, the crackle of the fire, Claudia's soft humming, a chorus of domestic calm. He sets out clay bowls and cups for the slaves' meal, their surfaces cool and smooth, and pours watered wine, its pale ruby color catching the light. The tray is ready, the meal simple but hearty, and Lucius carries it to the servants' dining area, the familiar room off the atrium. The act is routine, yet each step feels purposeful, a thread in the household's daily weave. Lucius joins Claudia and Marcus for a brief moment, sitting by the hearth, the warmth wrapping around him. The stew's aroma, the bread's softness, the wine's coolness, all blend into a moment of quiet gratitude, a pause before the evening's tasks continue. The sun dips lower now, dear listener, its light casting long shadows across the household as Lucius returns to the atrium, the heart of the home. The air is cooler, carrying the faint scent of rainwater from the impluvium, the small pool at the center that catches the sky's offerings. The mosaic floor gleams, its vines and flowers shimmering in the fading light, and Lucius picks up his broom to sweep once more. The broom's twigs are worn, their swish against the tiles a soft, rhythmic whisper, like a gentle tide. Lucius moves slowly, gathering dust and stray petals that have drifted in from the peristyle. The sound is calming, each stroke a meditation, grounding him in the task. The tiles are cool under his sandals, their smoothness a testament to the craftsman who laid them years ago. He sweeps around the impluvium, its water still and reflective, catching the golden hues of the afternoon. The faint trickle of water from a recent rain adds a soothing note, blending with the broom's swish. Lucius pauses to adjust a small statue of the household gods, the Lares, in their niche, their stone faces serene, surrounded by fresh herbs that release a faint rosemary scent. The atrium is quieter now, the household settling into the late afternoon. A soft breeze drifts through, carrying the scent of lavender from the garden, and Lucius breathes it in, the air refreshing after the kitchen's warmth. He sweeps the corners, where dust gathers in tiny piles, his movements deliberate, ensuring the mosaic's beauty shines through. Livia, another slave, passes by, carrying a basket of folded linens. Atrium looks spotless, Lucius, she says softly, her voice a gentle thread in the room's calm. He smiles, nodding. Thank you, Livia. Just keeping it tidy. Their exchange is brief, a moment of warmth amidst their tasks, and Lucius continues, the broom's rhythm unbroken. The atrium feels like a sanctuary, its open roof framing the sky, now tinged with the first hints of dusk. Lucius finishes sweeping, the floor gleaming, and sets the broom against a wall, its handle cool against his palm. He steps back, surveying the space, the tiles shining, the statues neat, the impluvium serene. The task is simple, but it brings a quiet pride, a sense of order in the household's heart. As the afternoon wanes, dear listener, Lucius settles in a shaded corner of the courtyard, where a wooden bench holds a woven basket in need of repair. The air is warm, carrying the scent of drying linens and the faint sweetness of herbs from the peristyle. The courtyard is a peaceful haven, its cobblestones glowing softly in the fading light. Lucius examines the basket, its reeds worn and frayed at one edge, a small hole threatening its usefulness. He selects a bundle of dried reeds from a nearby pile, their texture rough but pliable, and a small knife, its blade sharp and gleaming. He begins to weave, threading a new reed through the basket's structure, the soft rustle of the material a soothing sound, like leaves stirring in a breeze. Each movement is slow, deliberate, the reed sliding through his fingers, its texture grounding. The sound is subtle, a whisper of friction, and Lucius focuses on each weave, ensuring the repair is strong. The basket's pattern is simple, its reeds interlocking in a rhythm he knows well, a craft learned from years of small tasks like this. The courtyard hums with quiet life, the rustle of linens on the line, the distant trickle of the fountain, the soft chatter of children playing in the street. Lucius's work is solitary but comforting, the bench a small island of calm. He ties off a reed, the knot firm, and tests the basket, running his fingers over the repaired section, satisfied with its strength. Titus, the master's son, wanders by, his sandals slapping softly on the stones. Fixing a basket, Lucius? He asks, his voice curious and soft. Lucius nods, smiling faintly. Aye, young master. It'll hold the market goods again. Titus watches for a moment, then runs off, his laughter a bright note fading into the courtyard's calm. Lucius finishes the basket, its weave tight and neat, ready for use. He sets it aside, the reeds gleaming faintly in the sunlight, and wipes his hands on his tunic, the faint scent of dried grass lingering. The task is small, but it brings a sense of accomplishment, a quiet contribution to the household's daily needs. The late afternoon sun bathes the Roman household in a soft, amber glow, dear listener, its light filtering through the peristyle's columns, where Lucius returns to tend the garden. The peristyle is a tranquil haven, its small patch of herbs and flowers framed by stone pillars, the air rich with the scents of lavender, thyme, and rosemary. A gentle breeze carries the faint dampness of the fountain's trickle, a soothing murmur that wraps the space in calm. Lucius kneels beside a bed of thyme, its tiny leaves vibrant against the dark, loamy soil. He holds a small clay pot, its surface cool and smooth, and pours water gently over the plants, the soil drinking it in with a soft gurgle. The sound is delicate, blending with the fountain's steady trickle, like a lullaby sung by the garden itself. The water catches the fading sunlight, shimmering faintly, and Lucius watches, captivated by its quiet beauty. His task is to prune the herbs, ensuring they grow strong for the kitchen's needs. He picks up a small bronze knife, its blade sharp but worn, and begins trimming the thyme, each snip releasing a burst of sharp, earthy fragrance. The sound is soft, a whisper of metal against stem, and Lucius moves slowly, his hands steady, each cut a careful act of care. The trimmed leaves fall into a woven basket, their texture soft, their scent lingering on his fingers. The garden hums with life, the buzz of a lone bee, the rustle of leaves in the breeze, the distant chatter of a maid passing through the courtyard. Lucius shifts to the rosemary, its woody stems tougher, their scent stronger, filling the air with a resinous warmth. He trims with precision, the knives snip a steady rhythm, the basket filling with vibrant green sprigs that gleam in the soft light. Flavia, the master's wife, pauses by the garden, her robes brushing softly against the tiles. She runs her fingers over the lavender, its purple blooms swaying gently. "The herbs thrive, Lucius," she says, her voice calm and approving, like a breeze through the columns. He bows his head, murmuring, "Thank you, mistress," his voice blending with the garden's hum. Her presence is fleeting, but her words linger, a quiet nod to his efforts. Lucius moves to the lavender next, its scent sweeter, almost hypnotic, as he trims carefully, gathering the blooms into the basket. The act is slow, deliberate, each snip a moment of connection to the earth, to the household's daily rhythm. The sunlight casts dappled patterns across the tiles, shifting with the breeze, and Lucius pauses, his eyes tracing their dance, a moment of stillness in the fading day. The basket is nearly full now, its contents a vibrant mix of green and purple, ready for the kitchen. Lucius sets the knife aside, its handle cool in his palm, and stands, stretching his back, the garden scents wrapping around him like a soft shawl. The peristyle feels like a sanctuary, its beauty a gentle contrast to the city's bustle, and Lucius lingers, the fountains trickle a soothing companion. The evening draws near, dear listener, the sky now painted with hues of orange and pink, casting a warm glow over the household. Lucius steps into the triclinium, the dining room where the master's family will soon gather. The room is elegant, its 3 low couches arranged around a sturdy oak table, their cushions draped in woven fabrics of muted reds and golds. The air carries the faint scent of polished wood and the lingering trace of herbs from earlier tasks. Lucius carries a tray of bronze goblets and clay plates, their surfaces cool and smooth in his hands. He sets the table with care, each piece placed deliberately, the soft clink of bronze against wood a gentle sound in the quiet room. The goblets gleam, their polished surfaces catching the fading light, and Lucius arranges them in a neat row, their weight grounding, a small act of precision for the evening's meal. He spreads a linen tablecloth over the table, its fabric soft and slightly worn, its texture soothing under his fingers. The cloth settles evenly, its pale surface a contrast to the table's dark grain, and Lucius smooths it gently, ensuring no wrinkles remain. The motion is slow, meditative, the faint rustle of the fabric blending with the distant hum of the household settling into evening. Lucius places small bowls of olives and dried figs, their colors vibrant, deep green and dark purple, against the cloth. The faint scent of fruit rises, sweet and earthy, a promise of the meal to come. He adds a clay pitcher of watered wine, its surface cool, the liquid sloshing softly as he sets it down. The sound is subtle, a gentle gurgle that soothes the ear, grounding him in the task. The couches need a final touch, their cushions slightly askew from the day's use. Lucius fluffs them, the wool soft and heavy, and smooths the fabric covers, their weave catching the lamplight that now flickers in the room. The sound is faint, a soft rustle, like leaves stirring in a breeze, and he adjusts each cushion with care, ensuring comfort for the master's family. Gaius, a young slave, enters with a basket of fresh bread, its warm aroma filling the air. "Table looks fine, Lucius," he says softly, setting the basket down. Lucius nods, his voice low. "Thank you, Gaius. Just a few more touches." Their exchange is brief, a quiet thread of camaraderie, and Lucius continues, placing the bread beside the olives, its crust crisp and golden. The triclinium is ready now, its elegance restored, a space of warmth and order. Lucius steps back, surveying the room, the table set, the couches neat, the air calm. He feels a quiet pride, knowing his work prepares this space for the family's comfort, a small but vital role in the household's evening rhythm. This chapter continues with more details on tea. The sun has set, dear listener, and the Roman household settles into the soft embrace of evening, its walls aglow with the flickering light of oil lamps. Lucius joins the other slaves in the kitchen for their evening meal, the air warm with the scent of barley stew, fresh bread, and the faint smokiness of the hearth's embers. The kitchen is a haven, its glow a gentle contrast to the cool night outside. Lucius sits on a low wooden stool, a clay bowl of stew in his hands, its warmth radiating through the smooth clay. The stew is hearty, filled with vegetables and herbs from the day's work, its flavor rich and grounding. He tears a piece of flatbread, its crust breaking with a soft crunch, and dips it into the stew, the bread softening as it soaks up the broth. The taste is comforting, a reward for the day's labors. Around the hearth, Claudia, Marcus, and Livia sit, their voices low, sharing quiet tales of the day. Claudia speaks of a market vendor's jest, her tones soft and warm, while Marcus adds a story of a stray cat in the courtyard. Lucius listens, his eyes on the fire, its flames dancing in a hypnotic rhythm, casting soft shadows across the stone walls. The conversation is gentle, a weave of companionship that binds them together. Lucius sips watered wine from a clay cup, its coolness refreshing, the faint ruby liquid catching the lamplight. The kitchen's sounds, the crackle of the hearth, the soft clink of bowls, the murmur of voices, blend into a soothing symphony. The city outside fades, its distant noises, cartwheels, a dog's bark, muffled by the household's walls, leaving only this moment of warmth and rest. When the meal is done, Lucius helps clear the bowls, their clay clinking softly as he stacks them by the hearth. He sweeps the kitchen floor, the brooms swish a final note in the day's rhythm, ensuring the space is tidy for morning. The task is quick, but he moves slowly, savoring the calm, the fire's glow a gentle companion in the quiet. Lucius returns to the small room where he sleeps, a shared space with other slaves, the air cool and carrying the faint scent of earth and olive oil. His straw mat waits in the corner, its rustle soft as he lies down, pulling a thin blanket over himself, its texture worn but comforting. The room is silent, save for the soft breathing of his fellow slaves, already drifting into sleep. Outside, Rome is cloaked in night, the stars bright above the city's roofs. Lucius closes his eyes, the day's tasks replaying softly, the trickle of water, the swish of a broom, the warmth of the hearth. He feels a quiet contentment, a sense of purpose fulfilled, and lets the household's rhythm carry him into dreams, the night wrapping around him like a gentle tide. The first light of a new morning touches the rooftops of Rome, dear listener, its faint glow creeping into the household as Lucius begins another day. The air is cool, carrying the scent of earth and the faint musk of the storeroom where he now steps. The storeroom is a shadowed haven, its shelves lined with clay jars, sacks of grain, and bundles of dried herbs, their scents mingling in a quiet embrace. Lucius moves to a shelf, his sandals whispering softly against the packed earth floor. He lifts the lid of a clay jar, its surface cool and smooth, the faint scrape of clay against clay a gentle sound in the stillness. The jar holds barley, its grains golden and cool to the touch, and Lucius scoops a handful, letting them slip through his fingers like soft sand, their rustle a soothing murmur. His task is to check the stores, ensuring the household's provisions are sufficient for the days ahead. He counts the jars methodically, 8 of barley, 5 of wheat, 3 of lentils, his voice a low whisper as he tallies, the numbers a familiar rhythm. The shelves are sturdy, their oak worn smooth by years of hands, and Lucius runs his fingers along one, feeling its warmth, grounding him in the task. He inspects a row of amphorae, their tall forms sealed with wax, holding wine and oil. He checks a seal, its surface firm, the faint scent of fermented grapes escaping as he presses gently. The amphorae are cool, their clay gleaming faintly in the dim light of an oil lamp, its flame casting soft shadows across the room. The scent of olive oil lingers, rich and earthy, a reminder of the groves beyond the city. Lucius moves to the herb bundles, their leaves brittle but fragrant, tied with twine. He crushes a sprig of thyme between his fingers, its sharp scent rising, calming his senses. The task is meticulous, each item checked with care, and Lucius finds peace in its order, the storeroom a quiet sanctuary amidst the waking household. Marcus, another slave, passes by the storeroom door, his arms full of firewood. "Stores in order, Lucius?" he asks, his voice low and friendly. Lucius nods, smiling faintly. "Aye, Marcus, all's well." Their exchange is brief, a thread of camaraderie, and Lucius continues, the soft rustle of herbs and grains a gentle companion. The storeroom is tidy now, its contents accounted for, and Lucius steps back, the lamp's glow warming the shelves. He feels a quiet satisfaction, knowing his work ensures the household's stability, a small but vital role in its daily rhythm. The morning light grows stronger, dear listener, casting a soft glow across the courtyard as Lucius steps out with a broom in hand. The air is crisp, carrying the scent of dew-soaked cobblestones and the faint sweetness of herbs from the peristyle. The courtyard is the household's heart, a space where slaves and family cross paths, its stones worn smooth by countless footsteps. Lucius begins to sweep, the broom's twigs swishing softly against the cobblestones, a gentle rhythm like waves lapping at a shore. The sound is calming, each stroke gathering dust and stray leaves that have drifted in during the night. The leaves are crisp, their edges curling, and they rustle faintly as Lucius sweeps them into a neat pile, their movement a quiet dance in the morning light. The courtyard is alive with subtle sounds, the distant cluck of chickens from the stable, the trickle of the peristyle's fountain, the soft chatter of early risers. Lucius moves slowly, his hands steady, the broom's handle worn smooth under his grip. The cobblestones gleam, their surfaces cool and slightly damp, reflecting the sky's pale blue as the sun climbs higher. He sweeps around a small bench, its wood weathered but sturdy, and pauses to brush a leaf from its surface, the faint scrape of his fingers a soft note in the courtyard's calm. The air feels fresh, the morning's coolness a gentle contrast to the warmth that will come later, and Lucius breathes deeply, savoring the moment's tranquility. Livia, carrying a basket of laundry, passes by, her footsteps light on the stones. "Courtyard's looking fine, Lucius," she says softly, her voice blending with the broom's swish. He smiles, nodding. "Thank you, Livia. Just starting the day right." Their exchange is brief, a quiet connection in their shared routine, and Lucius continues, the broom's rhythm steady. The courtyard is a place of order, its stones a canvas for the household's daily life. Lucius sweeps the edges, where dust gathers in corners, his movements careful, ensuring every stone shines. The task is simple, but it brings a sense of purpose, a grounding ritual that sets the tone for the day ahead. When the courtyard is clean, Lucius sets the broom aside, leaning it against a wall, its handle cool in his palm. He steps back, the stones gleaming, the air fresh, and feels a quiet pride, the courtyard ready to welcome the household's activities. The morning unfolds, dear listener, and Lucius steps into the stable, a familiar haven at the courtyard's edge. The air is thick with the musky scent of hay and animals, the wooden walls warm from the rising sun. The straw-strewn floor crunches softly under his sandals, a soothing sound that welcomes him into the space. Lucius checks the chickens first, their feathers ruffling as they cluck softly, pecking at the remnants of yesterday's grain. He carries a sack of feed, its burlap rough against his hands, and scatters a handful across the straw, the grains pattering like gentle rain. The sound is calming, blending with the chickens' soft clucks, a chorus of contentment that fills the stable with life. He watches the chickens, their movements quick but unhurried, each peck a small, deliberate act. The sunlight filters through gaps in the roof, casting golden beams across the straw, and Lucius refills their water trough, pouring from a clay jug. The water splashes softly, creating tiny ripples that catch the light, a quiet moment of beauty in the morning's rhythm. Next, he turns to Brutus, the donkey, standing patiently in his stall, his gray coat flecked with dust. Lucius picks up a brush, its bristles soft and worn, and begins grooming, the whisk of the brush against Brutus's hide a steady, soothing sound. The donkey nickers a low rumble, leaning into the touch, his eyes half closed in contentment. Lucius murmurs softly, "Good boy, Brutus. Ready for the day?" The donkey's ears twitch, a silent reply, and Lucius smiles, the act a small connection in the stable's calm. He checks Brutus's hooves, lifting each one carefully, the wood of the stall creaking faintly. The hooves are strong, worn but clean, and Lucius sweeps the stall, the broom's swish blending with the stable's hum. The stable is a sanctuary, its sounds, the cluck of chickens, the rustle of straw, Brutus's soft breaths, a tapestry of peace. Lucius lingers, the morning light warming the space, the scent of hay grounding him in the moment. The animals are content, their needs met, and Lucius feels a quiet satisfaction, his care a vital thread in the household's rhythm. The sun climbs higher, dear listener, its light streaming through a high window into a small room off the atrium, where Lucius sits to polish the household silver. The air is cool, carrying the faint metallic tang of silver and the lingering scent of olive oil from earlier tasks. A wooden table holds a collection of silver spoons and a small tray, their surfaces tarnished but elegant. Lucius picks up a soft cloth, its texture worn and gentle, and begins polishing a spoon, its handle slender and cool in his hand. He moves the cloth in slow, circular motions, the sound of faint rustle, like leaves stirring in a breeze. The silver gleams brighter with each stroke, reflecting the morning light, and Lucius watches, captivated by the transformation, a quiet alchemy of care. The spoon's surface is smooth, its curve catching the light in soft glints, and Lucius feels its weight, grounding in its simplicity. He works slowly, his hands steady, the rhythm of the cloth soothing, a meditation that quiets the mind. The metallic scent rises, mingling with the room's coolness, a contrast to the warming day outside. He moves to the tray, its surface broader, etched with simple vines. The cloth glides over it, the tarnish fading, the silver shining like a mirror. The sound is subtle, a whisper of friction, and Lucius loses himself in the task, each stroke a small act of restoration for the master's table. The room is quiet, save for the distant trickle of the peristyle's fountain, a gentle backdrop to his work. Gaius, the young slave, passes by, carrying a stack of cleaned pottery. "Silver's shining, Lucius," he says softly, his voice blending with the room's calm. Lucius nods, smiling faintly. "Thank you, Gaius. Almost done." Their exchange is brief, a moment of warmth in their shared routine, and Lucius continues, the cloth moving steadily. The silver is polished now, each piece gleaming on the table, ready for the day's meals. Lucius arranges them neatly, their shine catching the light, a quiet testament to his care. He wipes his hands on the cloth, the faint scent of silver lingering, and steps back, the room's coolness wrapping around him like a gentle embrace. The morning light brightens, dear listener, and Lucius moves to the courtyard, where a line of wet linen sways gently in the breeze. The air is fresh, carrying the clean scent of soap and the warmth of sun-heated fabric. The laundry area is simple, a rope stretched between two posts, with tunics and tablecloths fluttering like soft sails. Lucius joins Livia, who is hanging damp linens, their texture heavy with water. She hands him a tunic, its linen cool and wet, and he shakes it out, the fabric snapping softly in the air. He secures it to the rope with wooden pins, their surfaces smooth from use, the act a quiet rhythm that grounds him. The sound is gentle, a faint clink of wood against rope, soothing in its repetition. The laundry was washed earlier in a large basin, the water scented with ash-based soap, and now Lucius helps hang the remaining pieces. He lifts a tablecloth, its weight tugging at his arms, and pins it carefully, the fabric rippling in the breeze. The scent of soap is sharp, clean, blending with the courtyard's warmth, a contrast to the morning's coolness. Lucius runs his fingers along the tablecloth's weave, its threads tight and even, a testament to the weaver's skill. The courtyard hums with life, the rustle of linens, the distant cluck of chickens, the soft voices of other slaves. Livia hums a tune, her voice a gentle melody, and Lucius smiles, the sound weaving into the task's calm. "You're quick with those pins," Livia says softly, folding a dry tunic. Lucius chuckles, his voice low. "Practice, Livia. Years of it." Their conversation is light, a quiet thread of camaraderie, and Lucius continues, hanging a cloak, its fabric heavy but soft, the pins securing it with a satisfying clink. The sun dries the linens quickly, and Lucius checks each piece, feeling for damp spots, the fabric warm under his fingers. He takes down a dry tunic, folding it carefully, its texture soft and warm. The task is shared, a collective effort that binds the slaves together, and Lucius feels a quiet contentment, the courtyard a haven of order. The morning tasks are done, dear listener, and Lucius finds a moment to rest in the courtyard, the sun now warm across the cobblestones. The air carries the scent of fresh linens and herbs, the household settling into the day's rhythm. Lucius sits on a wooden bench, its surface smooth and cool, and leans back, letting the morning's calm wrap around him. He holds a clay cup of watered wine, its surface cool, the liquid pale and refreshing. He sips slowly, the faint tang of grapes soothing his throat, the cup's weight grounding in his hands. The courtyard is quiet, save for the soft rustle of linens on the line and the distant trickle of the peristyle's fountain, a gentle symphony of peace. Lucius reflects on his day, the tasks that have filled it, tending animals, sweeping stones, polishing silver. Each act is small, but together they weave the household's life, a tapestry of care and rhythm. He thinks of his fellow slaves, Claudia's warm voice, Marcus's quiet jests, Livia's gentle humming, and feels a sense of belonging, a quiet bond forged in their shared duties. The sunlight warms his face, its glow soft and golden, and Lucius closes his eyes for a moment, letting the sounds of the household wash over him. The breeze carries the scent of rosemary, a reminder of the garden, and he breathes deeply, the morning's freshness filling his lungs. The bench is solid beneath him, a moment of pause in the day's flow. Titus, the master's son, runs by, his sandals slapping softly on the stones. "Resting, Lucius?" he asks, his voice bright but soft. Lucius opens his eyes, smiling. "Just a moment, young master." Titus grins and darts off, his laughter fading into the courtyard's calm, a fleeting note of joy. Lucius rises, setting the cup aside, its clay clinking gently against the bench. The morning is advancing, and more tasks await, but this pause has refreshed him, a quiet gift amidst his duties. He feels a deep contentment, his place in the household secure, his work a steady thread in its daily weave. As he steps back into the household's rhythm, the sun climbs higher, Rome awakening around him. The day stretches ahead, but Lucius carries the morning's calm with him, ready to meet its tasks with the same quiet care. His life, though bound by duty, is filled with moments of beauty, and he embraces them, ready for what lies ahead.